So after doing all that, it never occurred to me that maybe all we have to do is loosen this position switch. Okay, I could lie to you guys and pretend like I just figured this out and like I'm super smart, but like a retard, I ended up taking this spanner nut, this collapsible nut that holds the pulley on here, this nut right here. I ended up taking it off before I realized that all you have to do is loosen this set screw, and you can do that with this thing. So I'm a moron, don't be like me, and yeah. So now that that's off, I'm going to hold off on putting the new belt on to actually, yeah, I'm going to hold off on putting the new belt on until we get this thing done. But what I am going to do is put this spanner wrench back on and lock it down, snug it down. That's more like it. Let's see how that's going to work. Who am I to judge? Okay, tonight we're going to be soldering the connections on here. Actually not here, but for these two, the motor wires and the hot wires. I'm going to back this up some, and we're going to go ahead and do this. Okay, per this diagram, looking at the switch out, the long wires go to the motor. One would be black and one would be white. Closest to the switch is black, further away is white, and I actually think we want to trim these off. Okay, this is another thing I'm actually going to use. This is a 220 volt green indicator light. I'm going to drill this guy out and put this right about here. I saw a guy do this on another video. I think it's a really great idea because he's absolutely right. If you don't have this on here, you have no idea when this machine's running and when it's not running. So we're going to do that now. I'm going to try to do it without screwing anything up. I don't know how successful I'm going to be. I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to find out. But in my mind, this thing needs to connect to the positive and the negative on the green and the white, or the black and the white on the motor side. So that's how I'm going to hook this puppy up. We're going to just tap it into these two wires here that are strung off from this side and see how this goes. Oh, that works out real nicely. Where that punched through, it actually rolled over the triangular bracket. Do a little more trimming here. if I can do it with a razor knife. Alright, so this is how I ended up tightening it. I ended up pulling the wires through the socket and able to rotate this socket with my fingers to snug that up. But that's what it looks like when it's done. It's pretty straight, I guess, sort of, kind of. It's good enough for my yard. If I wanted to, I could always take it apart and put a washer on the front side of this thing, but there you can see it's all the way through. And we're going to run these just right in line with these guys. There's no indications of either way that this thing has to be positive or negative, I don't believe. So I'm going to snip these wires off to the same length as these. It'll still give us plenty to modify if we ever need to change anything or do this again. And if worse comes to worse, I'll just go ahead and splice new wires into a pigtail and do it again. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to strip both of these back just as far as the other one goes. And then I am going to get my heat shrink tubing together and my solder and my soldering iron. And we're going to tackle these. I'm also going to get out of my work uniform. I do not care what anybody says. This is the greatest soldering iron I have ever used in my life. I've owned 3 of them. All been fantastic. Fortunately, nothing's built to last forever. I didn't realize it at the time when I replaced it that you could actually get replacement tips for it, which is all it really actually needed. So, okay. Here. Let me get this camera repositioned while I've got this ball rolling. We'll do white first, just to see how it goes. These are a little bit long, but I'd much rather have them long than short. White, according to this schematic, would be the second, so the neutral is here. I'll run both of these together. I am in no way, shape, or form a master solderer or master electrician, so we're just going to kind of make this work as best as we can. I didn't like how the directions said to do this. They wanted me to use these copper crimp connections, which I might end up having to do if this is that difficult. I'm not sure. I just don't like it. It doesn't seem like it's a permanent enough fix for me. But then again, I could just be being a little bit ridiculous. Who knows? What I need is a nice... Should have brought my freaking whatchamacallits. Alright, fresh idea. Have these wires stripped down to nothing here pretty soon. I'm going to keep doing this and doing this and doing this until I get it right. We'll see what happens. Listen, and had I brought my soldering spider, or whatever you call that thing, my solder tree or stand or whatever, this would be a lot freaking easier. I'm certain of that. I'm gonna crimp this cat, and then I'm gonna see what happens when I do this. That's the magnet. I like that a lot. I think that's gonna be good. And if only I'd been smart enough to figure that out 20 minutes ago, we could be almost done by now. Not really, but you know what I mean. I'm sure that a lot of you guys out there are going to be much better at a lot of this stuff than I am, and you are more than welcome to tell me how bad I suck. But just know that I'm constantly learning and striving to do better, be better at all this stuff. My mission in life is to be, be as good as I possibly can be. That's what I'm gonna do. Alright, one set of wires is down. I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do with this ground connection. I'm probably just gonna clip it in with the rest. Maybe, you know, put a lug on it and screw it down to the other ones. Looks like this thing follows the same line as the other side. So I'm gonna give myself a little bit more room to work here, and then I can fish it through later. My mission is to fire this thing up tonight, so that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm not exactly sure why this wiring is so much thinner than the rest, but hopefully it's okay. If not, I'll be the first one to know about it, that's for sure. I try to keep this trim off as short as I possibly can. I don't waste a lot of this wire because I do not want to have to take these connections apart and uncrimp them. That would blow. Okay, one more big piece. Shrink tubing. By the way, this is 1/4 inch shrink tubing, just so you guys know. I'm just using what I had laying around. I don't know if it's right, but it works for me. So that's what I'm going to use. This side I probably could have used some smaller stuff on because I don't have the third wire with the light switch. I hope this works again. I'd really like for it too. That'd be great. Sure do give you plenty of these, don't they? And you missed it. Sorry guys. I was able to get this side on there crimped and soldered. That was my apologies. I thought the camera was running. It was apparently not. Potentiometer and the reset button, which I still need to make accommodations for up here. But my plan is to put this RPM gauge up here, so I wanted to make sure that I had the placement for that before I went ahead and mounted the potentiometer and did all that stuff. So we're gonna shrink tube the rest of these on here, and then we're gonna see how this thing goes. That was actually super freaking easy doing it that way. I wished to God that I was smart enough to recognize that early on. would have been a whole different ball game. So I'm gonna clean up now and get rid of the rest of this miscellaneous garbage that's laying here. And then I'm gonna slide this control box in and try to find the screws for it, and we're gonna see what this thing looks like plugged into the wall, maybe, perhaps, possibly, potentially. Good chance of that. Feels good for my yard. Now for the control wires. And this is all gonna need re-fished and repositioned and re-usaged. And I just totally guessed, so this thing could be totally fucked up. I won't have any idea until I plug it in. Actually, I'm just kidding. I made myself a sketch, but I'm like a retard. I'm not sure exactly what the orientation was, if I was looking at the back from that point or what. So we're going to assume that's the right way to do it. I'm going to put a temporary screw in this ground, and we're going to hook the power cable up and see if we can get this thing to chooch. Special 220 outlet plug. If you can see that, one odd fin. It is a Leviton industrial grade. There is the part number. Hopefully y'all can see that. Those are the particulars. Okay. See if we can blow ourselves up. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think we'll blow ourselves up. If anything, we'll just catch something on fire. You know, the really fun stuff. Alright, nothing's ever gone wrong with a bunch of loose wires in a control panel before. Okay. Okay. That's in there. And that's that. Let's see if we can get this light to come on. Get power to this bad mama jamma. Whew. We got power, green light's on. We are active. Now let's do this without getting electrocuted. Contact. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. It's so quiet compared to the old motor that's on here. I don't even know if I have any old videos of this thing running. But man, if you could hear the difference. Got a little vibration, but nothing too crazy. That's max speed. And we're off. We're changing directions. And that works. Alright, I'm going to shut this down. Unhook the juice. Oh yeah, baby! Alright, nobody died. Sweet! Alright, I'm going to disconnect the power now. And I'm going to finish this thing. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay, so the reset button is a 25/64 hole, through hole. .25/64. So one of my step drills. It says measure, but we're gonna just guess. I think that looks right. Piece of shit Harbor Freight punches. Alright, power hole. We're gonna go for the full Monty. A little deburring needed on the inside. Actually, that's just paint. Sweet. Okay, instructions. fantastically special, in fact. Wow. Just needed a mini screwdriver and some serious persuasion. Holy piss. Wow. So that was tough. Same gig here. Why would I have expected... Oh no, it wasn't nearly as bad. Okay. That's that. Slide this guy back over. Well, why should this be any different than any of the rest of it? I've struggled with everything else. Haha. Okay, maybe. Maybe. I think we got a touchdown there, boys and girls. It's not super snug, but definitely it's going to hold. And that was a complete and utter waste of time. Okay, so I'm not really 100% sure how I should do this. I already told the my plan is to not use this potentiometer and not use, to use the potentiometer but not use this this analog display. So I don't really want to go through the trouble of wasting it or damaging it. I'll probably send this back to the company or save it for another time. I will show you what I'm going to do instead. Okay, I'm assuming all of you can see what needs to be done here. As far as the potentiometer goes, there's a tiny little hole off to the left. You can see my blue glove in it. There's a little indicator tab on this potentiometer. All you got to do is rotate it some and drop it into place. I would try to make sure that whatever position you do that in, you have to clock this analog to that position, because this potentiometer has a definitive end. So get the knob. So, I guess, or just monitor which way you put the potentiometer dial on, I guess you could say. Because this, this position is 0, and then maxed out is 2800, But that's how it should be, and it's pretty close. So this thing does almost 180, maybe just shy. It keeps skipping teeth in there because I don't have the set screw in there. But just be mindful of that when you mount that. You're going to need to time your potentiometer to the correct location, so at least you know what's going on. I am choosing not to lead my speed up to a sticker that I'm going to glue on my machine.